Welcome to Late Night Creations. I'm Kendra. Thank you for joining me. I'm new to this YouTube channel journey and I'm glad you're here along with me. Just be patient, and this video has a lot of out of frame crafting, but you'll get the gist of it, and in the end you're going to see a really cute craft. So let's get started. I picked up these two little boxes at Dollar Tree, and I thought I was going to be able just to pull this little bumblebee off and save it, but I was wrong. I ended up bringing home my baby bumblebee and smashing it all up. So it ended up in the trash, but I kept this one intact to show you what it looks like. So that's what it looks like. If you want to go and buy these, they're really cute, and I think that we could use them in a lot of different seasons to craft with. That little bumblebee did not come off easy. And these words and that outline are kind of etched into the wood, and I'm going to try to paint over it and see if the paint will kind of fill in the etched part, but we'll see. We're going to snip off this little twine hanger, and if it's a pretty long piece of twine, I usually save it because I'm a hoarder of craft supplies, but that one was kind of small, so we chunked it. And I do have a trash can down there beside me. I'm not throwing stuff down in the floor. So this is Rust-Oleum chalk paint in aged gray, and we'll give it a good coat and see if it's going to cover up that etched, but it didn't. I'll just tell you right now, it did not. But here's a little hack for you. You may already know this. If you do, just kind of laugh at me. If not, listen up. I take a small baggie, or you can use a regular baggie or some press and seal, whatever you have, and just put your paintbrush in there, and it'll stay nice and moist because I'm going to be using that again in a little bit. Okay, now these little half beads I get on Amazon in a big huge bag. They're very affordable. They go a long way, and I'm just going to glue them all along the edge of this just for looks. And this is my new SureBonder glue gun, and a lot of the crafters that I watch on YouTube brag about them, and I didn't know what the big hype was. And my glue gun broke, wouldn't heat up anymore, so I ordered one, and I really do like it. It doesn't drip any glue. It has that cool little hanger, not a hanger, whatever you call that thing that helps it sit up. And yeah, I really like it. So just get those glued on there. I did kind of space them out before I started this video to kind of make sure that I could get the right amount, an even amount on each side. So I did do that, make sure they're all on there really nice and tight. And then we're going to take that gray paint again, and I'm going to put another coat on that front just to make sure that we can't get all that etched part filled in, but it did not work. So I'm going to paint the beads, paint the sides, give all of it a good coat of paint. And there I go outside of the frame. I'm so sorry. But I'm painting it. I'm painting in those beads. And like I said in the intro, I'm really new at this. This is only my second video to upload to YouTube. So I'm going to get better, I promise. And just bear with me, because I really can make some cute crafts. So I'm going to paint down inside the box of this a little bit. You really won't see down in there, but I just like to do that for whatever reason. I also like to paint the back or finish off the back side of my products, so you'll see how we do that a little bit later on. So that's all painted and dried by the magic of editing. And we are going to work on these beautiful little hearts that I got from Dollar Tree. They come several in a package. I can't remember if it's 5. I think 5 hearts in a package for $1.25. It's a pretty good buy. I got some paint at Michael's, but it's out of frame, so you can't see what color they are. One of them's pink and one of them's rose. I'm going to paint one heart white and one gray. You pick the colors that you like. That's the great thing about crafting is you can watch someone for inspiration, but you just make it your own. That's what makes it nice. And the good thing about crafting, making your own projects, is when people come to your house or you make something for someone and they say, "Oh, that is so cool. Where did you get that?" Then you can say, "Oh, I made it," and there won't be another one like it. And you see me pouring my paint out on the paper there because I don't like to leave my paint open for very long because it tends to dry out. And sometimes I use these little paper cups. They are for, I don't know what they're for. I get them at Dollar Tree, and there's like maybe 20 in a package, and they're for treats. They're little white treat cups. And I don't know, I'm not explaining it very good. But you'll see me in future videos using that, and I'll pour a little paint in there and use that if I'm going to use a little bit more than just what I'm using for these hearts. Now I paint both sides of these hearts. I don't have footage of painting both sides of the hearts or painting all the hearts because you would be bored. So everybody can figure out how to paint. So just a good coat of paint on both sides of these hearts and let them dry good and thoroughly. And like I said, choose the colors that you want and it'll be good. They'll be beautiful. They'll be yours. And there's this lighter pink, which I think is a really pretty color. And then I did one white and I did one gray. And I also like to whitewash things. So we'll do that later on. Right now I'm deciding which piece of scrapbook paper that I want to use. Do I want the pink or do I want the gray? And I decided on the gray. I just felt like it looked better. But you use whatever kind of paper you want if you decide to do this. And I'm going to fold it, press it down, fold it. You can see in the video what I'm doing because this particular part happens to be in frame. So cut it. And the good thing about this using the gray is that the background's gray. So even though I got it a little short in one spot, the background's gray, so you're not even going to be able to see. I'm also going to cover the back. Like I said, I like to finish out the backs. So I'm just going to lay it down on there, get my hair in the frame, trace it out, and then we'll cover the back too. Just because I'm extra. You know, I've been called extra. And I saw a real cute Instagram reel recently, and a girl said, if people call you extra, you just tell them, "Oh, am I extra? Or are you just ordinary?" I thought that was cute. So it's nothing wrong with being ordinary. I've tried to be ordinary a few times, but it didn't really work for me. Okay, so that's my Mod Podge. I buy Mod Podge by the gallon, and I pour it in this smaller jar. And it was a little thick and dry. So I added a little water with my spray bottle. And now I'm giving it a good coat and getting the glue strings out from my hot glue. But I'm going to give it a good thick coat of Mod Podge because that's my glue. I'm going to line my paper up on all the corners. And then press it down really good. Get all the air bubbles out. And that kind of dried on my corners a little bit. So just lift it up. Put a little bit more glue under there. A little bit more Mod Podge as your glue. And then just press it down. Press it down. Get it good and smooth. And then I'm going to put another coat on top. It dries really fast. You have to work kind of fast. But yeah, work fast. And you can see that I did not take the sticker off. This is the back side. I do not like removing stickers. If you have a good way to remove stickers, let me know in the comments below. Now we're going to let that dry while we do this little whitewash technique that I like with a dry brush on these hearts. So I'll use these little chippy brushes. I got these at Michael's, but you can get them at Dollar Tree too. So I put a little bit of paint on the brush and then wipe most of it off, and then just highlight the hearts. So just dry brush wherever you want the white to be. My grandmother was an artist, a fantastic artist, and she used to say you highlight it where the sun hits it. So just on the highlights on the tops. It doesn't really work with this, with this technique, but I kind of like to think about, that you're just kind of highlighting it. So I like this. I like this kind of shabby chic, country shabby chic, modern shabby chic look. So I kind of like this whitewashed a little bit. Not too heavy, but you make it your own. Now obviously we can't whitewash the white one. So I'm going to take my aged gray, and I don't have much paint on this brush already, so I'm just going to dip it in the gray a little bit and do the edges in gray. And so it's going to make it look a little outlined, like it has a little outline on it. Just give it a little character, a little dimension, so that they're not so flat. But if you like them flat, leave them flat. But I think it just adds a little bit of, just that little extra pop, so they're not so flat and boring sticking in there. Excuse me. So this is dry. Told you it dried fast. So we can handle it now. I'm also going to dry brush this little box and those beads. I think it looks really neat because the top of the beads will be lighter, and then in between the beads will be darker. And I get out of frame on this part too. I apologize. I'm really trying to show you, but yeah, I got out of frame. So just dry brush wherever you think it needs it, however much you think it needs for your taste. And sometimes I even dry brush over the scrapbook paper. If I would have already had my scrapbook paper on there, I would have probably dry brushed a little over it, but I didn't have it on there already. So now we're going to just do the same technique we did on the back, just do it on the front with this little triangle. We're going to put our scrapbook paper on the front. And if you get some little bubbles or buckling on the paper, no worries. It will relax once it dries. That used to drive me crazy when I first started using Mod Podge. I wanted every little bubble to be smooth, and it just doesn't happen. Now I am going to give this a coat of Mod Podge to kind of seal it. I like to do this with my projects, especially when I use chalk paint, because then if it gets a little dusty, I live out in the country, so everything's dusty out here, then you can actually dust it. So I'm going to give these little hearts just a thin little coat. And, Mod Podge is awesome for this because it dries super fast. So by the time I get ready to glue our skewers on or our bows on, they're going to be dry enough to handle. So you can see it's just a thin, quick coat. I really love Mod Podge. I also sometimes use a wax that you just kind of wipe on with a soft cloth. I really like that too. It gives it a different look. So whatever you like to use, you can use. Okay, now we're going to put some bows on. You're probably wondering what I was going to do with those holes in the top of those hearts. But I made these out of some raffia. You could use twine if you want, or ribbon if you want. That twine, those little twine bows are really cute. And I was going back and forth, but I decided that the raffia matched those skewers, and then I don't have to paint the skewers. You could paint the skewers if you wanted to, if you were going to use some ribbon, if you wanted to use white ribbon and paint the skewers white. I think that would look really good. If you wanted to do all your hearts white and use pink skewers and pink ribbon, that would be cute. I mean, the possibilities are endless with this. You just make it your own. Use what you have. Get in your stash. Use what you can find inexpensively. Okay, now I had this piece of foam because someone donated me a whole bunch of foam that I have in my garage. So I went out and broke a piece off, and it just happened that it was like a little corner. So then I'm going to put that down in there, and I'm going to trace with my pencil where I need to cut it. And then I'm just going to take these big old scissors and cut that part off that doesn't need to be there. Perfect fit. Voila. Now I have this cute little ladybug. I know you've been seeing her sit up there. And she is a vacuum cleaner for craft tables. It's amazing, especially for glitter. And just turn it on, zoom, zoom, zoom. She sucks it all up. Space is clean. I'll try to remember to put a link to that in the description box below. Now to our skewers. I buy these at Dollar Tree. They have them all the time. They're really inexpensive. And if you cut that pokey end off like I did, the little sharp pokey end, you can use a pencil sharpener to sharpen it if you want to have a pokey end. So I'm going to glue this down in there so it doesn't come out. We want it to stay in there. So just put a little hot glue on. Hot glue works with styrofoam really good. And I'm kind of seeing how long I want my skewers, and you're going to see later that I go back and cut them. I cut them all the same size. Try to cut them with the scissors. Then I use my needle nose pliers that have a wire cutter and use that. That works really good. That's normally what I use. I don't know why I picked those scissors up. So yes, you see me. I'm cutting them all the same length. And I do have a trash can down there. It looks like I'm throwing my trash in the floor, but I have a little trash can down there beside me. Oh, man. I didn't realize how that was going to look on camera. It's okay. So, I glue all these on, and then I end up cutting them to different lengths. You'll see that later. But just a little bit of glue on there, and they stick good. Sometimes I have to add a little bit more. Okay, so then I bought these stickers a long time ago at Hobby Lobby, and they probably still have them because they still have a lot of stickers. But I bought, I always get them when they're half price, so I bought them a long time ago, and I'm trying to decide which one of these sets I want to do because I wanted it to say faith, hope, and love. Then I chose that one that you see me with there, and I'm going to use my handy dandy tweezers and pick them off, and I'm going to take some hearts to put in there. So I'm going to line them up on top so that I can get them all lined up and centered where I want them to be before I commit to laying them across there on the scrapbook paper. And then just put them down where they belong. And I'm using those polka dots on the scrapbook paper. You can see me running my finger across there. I'm using that as the polka dots as my guide. But you have to make sure the polka dots are straight first. If you put those polka dots on there crooked, then your lines are going to be crooked. But that worked for me. So now I decide I'm going to start putting my hearts in there. And this is where you see that I had them all the same length, and that's not going to work for them to all be the same height. So I start cutting them. Now, this is like floral arranging. And floral arranging is not my thing. I stink at floral arranging. My daughter-in-law is amazing at it. She works at a florist in her little town where she lives, and she's amazing. She's good at it. Yeah, me, not so much. I can make it look okay in the end, but yeah, I'm not very good at it. So I grabbed these florals that I had left over from a shower that I threw for my sweet little cousin who had a baby. And I'm trying to decide if I want to use these eucalyptus leaves or the other greenery. I don't know what kind of greenery that other greenery is, but it's pretty. And I decide I don't want to use those. So I start pulling these off, cutting them off, pulling them off. And you know, I bought a bunch of those in a package for not too much money. And they, you know, I've reused and reused them for decoration. And, you know, look, I'm just using a few little pieces in this project. So it's worth it to go ahead and, you know, buy a big bunch and then just use it in a lot of projects. I don't know, that's my opinion. But you can get, I had out there some picks that I had bought at Dollar Tree, but I ended up using these. So you could absolutely use some of Dollar Tree's greenery picks or spring picks or whatever you like. And here I go out of frame again. But you're going to see the end result at the very end. So now we got to put a hanger back on it because remember I cut that one off and threw it in the trash, not the floor. So I'm just going to put a piece of twine through there. You could put a piece of ribbon, whatever matches, whatever you've used. And I'm going to put a piece of ribbon in there and we are done. I think it turned out really cute. I'm really happy with how it turned out. Sometimes I do a craft and I'm like, could have done better. But I really do like how this one turned out. And here is our final result.